Please be seated. Well, aren't you glad you're not like those other people? You know who I'm talking about. Them. That arrogant person who looks down on others. Those judgmental people who judge me and others like me. That superficial person who never takes a hard look at themselves but has no problem forming an opinion about me. Those unloving, uncompassionate types that don't see the suffering of others. Those statements I just uttered may resonate with you. They also display how our own judgments come back to roost with us. If we take time to look deeper into the people that annoy us, we begin to realize that we dislike them because they remind us of ourselves in some way. Jesus often addressed this, the blind spot that we all have. He spoke about, why do you complain about the speck in your brother or sister's eye and ignore the log in your own? Judge not, lest you be judged. Start by taking the beam out of your own eye. How can I accuse someone of lacking compassion while I am being entirely uncompassionate towards them? How can I despise those arrogant jerks when I'm lifting myself over them in an arrogant fashion? How can I look down my nose at people who are superficial and shallow, who lack reflective capability, when I'm failing to reflect on why they get under my skin? So I have some good news and I have some bad news. Well, maybe it's not bad news, maybe it's just hard news. It is actually good news for anyone committed to spiritual growth and healing. It's kind of the castor oil of faith. And your mission, should you decide to accept it, will become clear in a minute. But it may be what you can do immediately to deepen your spiritual life. So, in a sermon about James chapter 1, Curtis Almquist, who is a brother at the Society of St. John the Evangelist, was referring to this passage. I'll read the passage first, and I'll tell you what he said. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you are a listener when you are anything but, letting the word go in one ear and out the other. Act on what you hear. Those who hear and don't act are like those who glance in the mirror, walk away, and 2 minutes later have no idea who they are or what they look like. Now, some hard news. Curtis says this, and I quote, "So where is the mirror in life? The mirror is in the face of others. We see ourselves in others, particularly those who get under our skin, because they belong there. We are they. What we see in other people, particularly people who affront us, are ourselves. This is who we are. They wouldn't get to us the way they do if they didn't already have a place in us. They are the mirror." Okay, take a breath. That's dealing with annoying people 101. Now we get to annoying people 201. He goes on to say that they already have a place in us. Either that or we are being visited by someone we will become. Do they seem too slow, too sloppy, too stupid, too this or that? No, they're not. They're actually emissaries visiting us, preparing the way for us. They are our mirror image, not to forget. They are messengers from our future. Rather than looking upon them with distance or disdain, treat them with kindness because they are kin to us. We are they. We see ourselves mirrored in others. Remember that. Seems we have a choice. And the choice is, do we neglect reflection on why some things bother us and go deep inside to explore? Or do we just judge and assure ourselves that we will become like the people we judge if we haven't already done so? Hard stuff. Become like those who offend us, these emissaries of our future, or realize that they are a source of revelation that effectively point back to profound suffering that we have buried. Feelings which, if reflected upon, can bring healing to our soul, transformation to our soul. Well, how does this happen? It helps when we understand that the reason why we project our judgment onto others is because looking deeply into our own story will reveal pain that scares the living daylights out of us. We would rather not go there to embrace one simple truth. In some way, we have left a part of ourselves all alone. It seemed easier to abandon the painful part of our story, build up defenses that allowed us not to step back and to take a deep look at what we are and where we came from. And so we became all those things to ourselves that we despise in others. We became dismissive towards our story, arrogant towards our story, insensitive to our suffering, superficial towards our soul. That is how others become our mirror. They resonate with us. They shake us loose from our defenses. The resistance to others is a sign that we are out of relationship with ourselves. Bottom line. Thank God that this person or situation is stirring my vulnerability, because I have some work to do. So you know what your mission is. It's clear. Reflect on why that situation, that person is under your skin. That is a source of incredible growth. Here's the amazing thing. If you understand what's going on in you with all that judgment, where it's coming from, you will develop a little compassion for yourself. That dismissive person not listening to me? I literally had an experience one time when someone came up to me and said, "How you doing?" I said, "I really had a terrible week." "Oh, good." What? That dismissive person? Why does that get under my skin? And then I step back and I say, look at the ways I'm dismissing my own suffering. Other people have it worse than I do. I shouldn't complain. I shouldn't be feeling this way. I send myself to a room instead of learning to be compassionate towards myself. I was reading the confession this morning. I swear we need to change that thing. Because it's not just to sins against God and our neighbor. It's sins against God and our neighbor and ourselves. Because if we don't learn how to be compassionate towards who we are and where we are, do we feel that way? It gets under our skin. And to own it. Curtis Almquist says, a spiritual practice is hesitation. How you want to react sometimes to a situation? Just pause, step back and say, why does that hurt? Why do I feel that way? It's about getting in a better relationship with us. So how's my relationship with everybody else? Well, how's your relationship with yourself? It'll pretty much sum up everything else. The best thing we can do for the environment is have a relationship with ourselves. Because we treat the environment like we treat ourselves. We don't hold that connection with ourselves. It makes it impossible for us to establish a connection with other people in a really meaningful way. And it's a vulnerable process. I have a good friend who came out finally. And he was talking about the hardest part of embracing the fact that he was gay was the abuse he had extended to himself by buying into the judgment of other people. That scared him. He didn't want to even go there. It's not just society. It's oppressing yourself. Are you the oppressor of who you are? He also wondered, he said, after I learned to have compassion on me and my story and who I really am, I find that my first reaction is not anger towards the anti-LGBTQ plus voices out there, but I find myself feeling compassionate and wondering if all that anger is projected out because some people haven't accepted who they are. As a church, that's part of love and compassion. To be truly inclusive, you have to be in the equation. You can't judge yourself. You can't be hard on yourself. Step back and take a look at what you've been through. Well, everybody else went through it. Yeah, but you went through it. You yourself, individually, have had to deal with all these issues in your life. If you were sitting across from yourself, you want to give yourself a hug. Say, wow, that's amazing what you've been through. That's compassion. All of us have some kind of closet to come out from. All of us need to come out. God's deepest desire is that we live into our unique story. And to do that, we must be willing to take a look into the mirrors all around us. Those wonderfully annoying mirrors. To say, wow, boy, that hit a nerve. Scott, how are you doing? Why is that painful? That's deep looking. That's loving yourself so you can love your neighbor. And I think we're hoping to love our neighbors. Welcome those mirrors. Prayerfully embrace those mirrors. That's your mission, should you decide to accept it. Reintroduce yourself to the story longing to unfold before you and within you. Thank God for those people. Thank God for those that are under your skin, those people that are under our skin, because under our skin is a story trying to get out. A profound story, a story that will bring healing, transformation, and joy, not only to us, but to the world.